Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So here's going to be another mishmash video. First we'll look at my next 5 max locks, and then we will look at the 20th, which will be the next Monster Strike day, just the schedule for that day. And then at the end I'll talk about, I guess, the last earnings report from X-Flag and Mixie, and then maybe talk about the future of Monster Strike. But first let's look at my newest max locks. And then this will be real brief, because I've talked about a few of them already before. Let's see, one of them was Ichimato here from the Bleach collaboration. I was really kind of on the fence whether or not I wanted to max luck him, because his is the quest where you play once and you get the one drop. So you have to play his quest many times. I did eventually make the max luck of him because his quest was easy enough that I could farm for medals in there. So that made it worth playing, in addition to getting the max luck. So, not a ton of plans to use this guy. He's just a bounce minesweeper with some slayers, but we'll see. Maybe there will be a time to use him. Okay, and then there were a couple characters for the lucky monster. One of them was /X, bounce with flight, null block, and the lock-on one-way laser. He could be useful, maybe. And then the other one was Pine. I made the Ascension form because I was planning on making the max luck of her for some time. But finally, with her as a lucky monster, I got that extra motivation to finish her. Bounce with the Minesweeper, the Blast Pump combo, and then no gauge. So she could be pretty good for easy quests that I need to farm a lot of. Okay, next up. I just had some kind of leftover plays in the library during the day when you get the extra drop rate. So I made Takayasha this day. She was really hyped when she first came out, a million years ago. And then I made the max luck of her as soon as I could, but I don't remember actually using her. But she is very versatile, being a pierce null damage wall. At the time when she came out, she was strong enough that people were bringing her to gravity barrier quests, warp quests and stuff. Decent bump combo and decent strike shot for the time. But now, of course, she's pretty outclassed. And then, the max luck that is maybe the most interesting of the 5 is Senju. And then, I don't really talk about him too much, but there are a lot of other high-level Monster Strike players that like this guy. Stats are kind of low overall, but he's a Pierce with null gravity barrier and null block, and then no gauge. That's a pretty great combo. He is water type too. Bump combo is pretty good too. It's the rebounding chevron, that's the same as Brutus, and then a poison meteor strike shot. Turn count is pretty long at 30 turns, but meteor on a drop monster is always pretty useful, so yeah, pretty happy to have this guy. Okay, next let's look at the schedule for the 20th, which will be the next Monster Strike day. And then this is a Monday. But if you are on America time, then this might be like Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, so this could work out for you. First is Aizen Myo, and then she's pretty great. I think since the release of Lancelot X, she's become much easier, so you wouldn't be too hard-pressed to bring a max luck in there. I'm using Brutus, who's not even on this list here, so yeah. She's pretty doable these days with Lancelot X. I'm debating whether I want to play this because it does start at midnight for me. But I'm actually taking this day off, so I could stay up and then catch up on sleep later in the day. I am working on her max luck. She's at 25 right now. And then otherwise, here is Platinum Taisa, and then he's really good for a recent Colossal quest. I think it was Adabuda, maybe? So you could make the Ascension of him if you wanted a max luck for that. Let's see. Here's Saibiri, and then his quest is kind of difficult. So if you did want to make the max luck of him, it might be worth to do it on this day, just because it would make it easier to use all Hatcher monsters. And who else we got? Here's Agravain. He's not that difficult a quest, so you don't really need to bring all Hatcher monsters, but maybe you could speed up your runs playing it on this day. He's the Pierce with the Gravity Barrier Slayer, and then the 8-turn Null Everything Strike Shot. So he's kind of interesting as an extreme max look. Moving on down the list, here's Apocalypse. This is definitely the one that I'm the most excited about this day. And then I have been using Hawk and Elizabeth as my max look in her here. And then I recently gave them the Hero Scroll so that they could have a Mend Ableberry. But with the Monster Strike Day, I'll be able to take a team with 3 Hatcher monsters, so that's pretty exciting. I'll probably take Benzaiten and Ray, and then either Sailor Venus or Rickle. I'll have to think about that. Okay, and then moving on down. Aha! Here is Karuna. And then this is the first time that a Golzetsu quest is going to be available on a Monster Strike Day. This is kind of major, because these Golzetsu quests are very difficult. But yeah, I've been using Marishten, but if I could replace Marishten with like another Belphegor, or maybe a Musashibo Benkei, that might up my win rate. And then for these Golzetsu characters, you need the 10 drops in order to transcend them and then really start using them. So even if you weren't interested in them making the max look of these Golzetsu characters, it might be worth taking a team of Hatcher monsters through just to get the 10 luck, and then just use the monster as is. If you are short on monsters for Shangri-La in particular, then you would want the drop of Karuna. So that could be another reason to go for the 10 luck. And that'll do it for that day. So yeah, I am most interested in Apocalypse and then Aizen Myo. I will debate whether or not I want to stay up and then play Aizen Myo, and then I will debate if I want to play Karuna anymore. I do have him at the 10 luck, which is enough for me. But yeah, making the max look of him would be pretty annoying. And then the Golzetsu quests, they're difficult because they're kind of like the last bosses of the game, and you need to do a lot of... you need to build up your rank and your spirit crests in order to get those better abilities, and then you also want to use hero scrolls and then get better Ableberries, particularly the Kin Strength Ableberries, in order to really kind of ease the farming of those quests. So they do take a lot of effort to really farm efficiently. And then that kind of brings me to the state of the game. There was that earnings call the other day, and then I think profits were down 88% from this time period last year. I think that's how it was. That's a pretty dramatic number, and a lot of people are getting very spooked about the state of the game. But although 88% drop in profit is humongous, it doesn't mean that the company is losing money. It just means that it's making less money. And then this might be an anomaly. I remember one year, like Apple, they had crazy results for one quarter. And then the next year, that same quarter, they had their first drop. But I remember that quarter was the first time that they released the larger sized iPhones. And then for that, a lot of people were like waiting for those larger sizes, which is why that was kind of an unusual high amount of sales that they did. And then it kind of returned to normal the next year, which was still good results, but not as good as that anomaly. Maybe, this time last year in Monster Strike was an anomaly as well. If we think back, Mana was released, she was crazy. And then I think she was obviously more crazy than Solomon was this year. Solomon is still great, but Mana had like more impact, I would say, on her release. And then also they'd had the release of the 5 angels, one of each of the elements. Maybe that helped as well. But I think the CEO or the president of the company in the earnings call said that like light users are not spending as much as they were last year. And then from that, a lot of really interesting discussion has come out. And then a lot of people are saying that like the game has become too difficult. And so maybe that's affecting how much light users are putting into the game. But I don't think those two things are related, because light users, they don't care about that highest level of content. and so it wouldn't affect their spending, I would think. While I do agree that the game has become too hard for people like me, who are maybe like intermediate to advanced players, I don't think they need to change the difficulty of those higher level quests, because there are still a lot of players, including whales, that really need those higher level quests. If they weren't there, maybe they would leave and then they'd lose money. But it's tricky because you need to incentivize stuff so that the middle to casual type players want to spend more, even if it's like a little bit here and there. Maybe some of the problem is that so many characters are being released at such a quick pace that people like just starting out, they don't know what to pull, so maybe they don't pull at all. But they've kind of moved in a direction where they're kind of slowing down how many characters they're putting out, like the Transcendent forms of the new series. So it goes from like 6 new characters to 3 new characters, so that might help. But yeah, there's a lot of like kind of side projects also that Mixi and X-Flag are investing in. That is maybe hurting their profits. Like they are sponsoring that basketball team. I don't know if that's really that great of an idea because basketball's not too popular here in Japan. And so even if you're sponsoring like the most popular or the strongest team in Japan, maybe it's still not leading to a lot of sales in-game or like new subscribers. Producing an anime, that also takes a lot of money. Producing the X-Flag Park, that takes a lot of money. So if the game were in trouble, I'm not going to say that the game or the company is in trouble yet. If it were in trouble, it would probably start cutting back on stuff like the anime, and then the sponsoring of the basketball team, and then like special events and sweepstakes and stuff. So if we start to see those kind of ratchet back, then maybe we can start worrying about the company. But for now, I wouldn't worry about it. Worst case scenario even, I would say there would be another year left of Monster Strike. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, again, kind of a mishmash of a video, but that's how I'm thinking about things. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.